is a registered traditional health practitioner, and we're talking African traditional medicine, African traditional ways of healing, indigenous ways of healing. And before the break, we were talking about how we need to treat umgophelele, the body, umoya, right? And we're talking about dis-ease. But there's something that we need to address quickly before this discussion gets anywhere. There are stereotypes. There's skepticism around African traditional ways of healing.
Yes.
Who's responsible for this? Are we ignorant? Why is there so much secrecy?
I think, we can't say who is responsible, and then because when we blame, then we're not able to shift.
We're not liberating.
And we're not feeling like we are empowered enough to do anything about it, because the one who's done it has to do something before things change. I think there are multiple players that has led us to the situation that we are in, where, when somebody is seeking help, medical help, the first call would be to go to a Western doctor.
Correct.
So I think, we come from a history where the practice and anything that had a strong African identity and a rootedness to who we were was demonized. And I say this all the time when I speak, is that yes, in the early 1920s, African health practitioners were legislated against, because, as you said, the numbers don't add up, But, the numbers don't add up, but there was a booming number of qualified medical practitioners, and people were not knocking at their doors. So something had to be done to manage those dynamics. And secondly, I think that because of the huge demonization of who we are as Africans, who we are, how we wear our hair, the foods we eat, everything about who we are has been told is less of than what the West is. So we've got what we call aspirational ways of beings. If, let's give an example, ukhulele eKasi, where I can kulele Alexandra. We've always been fed information of you have made it if you can accustom to Western ways of being. If uhlale masabapini, you understand that if udla Kellogg's, awusadla mabele kagogo, you're no longer eating sorghum mabele. That's fermented, that's full of probiotics. Because sorghum, it's a natural crop. It's an indigenous crop of Southern Africa. And when you ferment it, it has good, probiotic culture. That's good for your stomach. So somebody who's got digestive problems, when you eat fermented things, they replace good bacteria in your system. So we don't eat those things because everyone wanted this ideal world. When they say the American dream, we all grew up with the American dream, like only if we could. And I think Africa is reawakening. We are reawakening, hence we're having these conversations. So it is up to us to say, what does it mean for us in this time to realign, to reconnect in a way that's relevant to these times, in a way that it dispels some of the secrecy, not jeopardize the sacredness of the practice. How do we as practitioners start to have open conversations with the people we are serving? How do we then make you understand that in my attempt yokuqhumisa, in my attempt yokupahlesa, in my attempt of saying perform X and X, how is that going to make the body well? How is that going to help with alignment? Because you are a dis-ease, you are a discourse. Because I'm finding that it's not that people sometimes don't want to, people don't understand what they're signing up for. And because you are dealing with an ether as well that's not tangible, it is very important and crucial for us to start having conversations, and we as also healers educating ourselves about exactly, do I understand le nto engiyenzayo? So if I get a message that I need to start working in a certain way, I always kind of investigate and inquire, in what way is this going to serve the people that I work with? In what way is it going to enhance and enable my work? So it's really quite important for us to always be in inquiry and be in conversations around these issues to dispel some of those stereotypes.
And there's a very thin line there, preserving the sacredness, the sanctity of the practice versus teaching and educating people about it, so that it is not seen as this dark place
Dodgy.
as this last resort.
Yeah, and that's typical. People come maybe except
Exactly.
for people who don't have access, to, because Emakaya, the first point of entry is always traditional healers, and there are people who or somebody struggling and the baby's breech, who can help facilitate the turning of the baby. But you said the darkness and the dodginess. It's a responsibility of us all, including us as practitioners, including those who come and seek our services. Because if people can proudly say, Ukoko is my healer.
Sure.
Yeah, understand. The way umuntu angati, if somebody says, please recommend a recommendable dentist, people can easily freely say that. But when people say, I need a traditional healer because I'm struggling and I can't make sense of things,
we can't say Uko
sure. Because and also we are so mentally broken to a point of abantu basabuguleta abantu, because it's like, what if I bring them to you and then you end up doing something against me? So sisaba uptagati to that extent.
As we don't even know uptagati.
No, and
we're afraid of what we don't know.
No, but people tagata every day in our attitude, in our language, in the way that we are being, because uptagat really it's an act of being sinister and manipulative. So it doesn't start with umuchi. Same as uglapa, it starts with pure intentions, with the heart of a healer. I always say to people when I'm working with them that if you want to be a healer, you got to work with yourself. You got to declutter. Ngeke ulaphe uvalekile. Agna dlozi, agna moya ozo chanela healing if you are like this. If ubamba maqhubu, if all you ever think of, if there's a lot of negativity within your space, because at the end of the day, like attracts like as well. So if there's too much, when people are afraid, that we help who have had spells and you need to deal with that. But I always go like, we need to also empower you so you're not vulnerable to that. Because if you're always worried about somebody doing something at you, even nomimpugani indlulela izok attack, because you
Ungapalaza as much as you want. If you're attracted, it'll come to you.
Exactly. I get, and it's important. And sometimes what you need to do is, yes, if umuntu something has happened against their will, you need to address it. But it's important, what are you doing with the person you are working with at a psychological level to empower them, that they know that you are powerful? Because what you need to revere most is what you don't see, and that's the creator nabapansi. I always say like because we are vibrating here.
Sure.
So I wanna and those are the ones I need to, and not saba, because fear holds us back, but respect makes us walk with honor.
Coco, as you speak, I'm sitting and I'm thinking, only if this information was readily available somewhere. If it was packaged, if it was documented, if it was digitized, if we had a library. How is it that so little is written about African ways of healing? And the most that is written that we can access online is not even written by Africans.
Yeah, I think one is that I don't think we're doing enough to put resources into this work. I think whenever there's an attempt to do it, it's when somebody's gonna individually monopolize. When we're speaking about only 10% of the indigenous herbs are being mainstreamed and produced, but who's benefiting? Amagedla that go and understand these medicines, because abantu who understand the actual plants, amagedla. Yeah, understand. Is people who are invested in the plants, in how they grow, in how you harvest them, and when to take them off and when not to take them. So those are the people who are harvested. But then let's take Moringa, for example. Moringa has been with us for many moons. For many moons. But we're just finding out. I also just bottles. Yes. And people would not want to buy Leia Sefarade that is $20. They rather would go to a pharmaceutical, pharmacy that is $100, well packaged. I think as well presentation plays key, because people get fed by what they see. However, let me say this. However, it's also in our psyche about what is presentable or not, because I've been to Faraday and they were beautiful. I even take pictures of how beautiful they laid out the smell. You can smell that this. You know, they
Right.
came to the market fresh.
You
can tell that. And also, this one, don't mix it with this one because it's going to contradict. They are offering contradicting energies. Use this amount of stuff, but because there isn't resources that are put into investigating, into writing, and into compensating custodians of because and we need to get away as Africans, Guti, unless the West can validate it, therefore we are validated. That's why I say, yes, white is right. If I come with it and I would say, if we are Estoro and then somebody else we are saying, some people buy the very same thing that if they find it in a nice package shop, I mean, at some, a mall, nice stall of spiritual, 90 rand, a small stick called the African sage for smudging and the people, this group of women walked in and they were so excited. Who can pay? Who in Kejwang? I'm not saying that, but it's the belief that our way of doing things is not good enough.
There must be something in our psyche.
Yes.
And I guess then we will have to take deliberate steps in re-educating ourselves, in liberating,
in decolonizing
the way we think.
Yeah.
Because you're right. I will not think twice about drinking paracetamol that I buy from a pharmacy with listed ingredients, things I can't even pronounce. But you dare say to me, "No, mhlonyani."
You say to someone, "No, mhlabelo." Humble, go drink it. It's going to help you with your pain. Like the look they've got.
Then I want to know the research that's gone into it and checking toxicity and whatnot. I will question that before I question the paracetamol. There's something in our psyche there.
Yeah.
Do join in the conversation. 089 110 089 what's that number again? 089 110 That's it. 089 110 My Twitter handle is @Kopedi Africa #Metro FM Talk. What has been your experience with African traditional medicines? Do you use them? Do you trust them? Do you not? What are some of the stereotypes? What are you struggling with, maybe?
Yeah.
And then you find people, Gogo, that mhlawumbe parents or somebody in the family have said, "Yes, mntanam, you need to go, or we must take you to Ugogo's Bani. He can help you." And the child is on some, no, actually, you know what? Doctors don't know what's wrong with me. We've been to specialists. I'm not having it. Senze njani?
And it's specialists because you find people. I've worked with several cases. I had a case of a child who, because had a calling and the parents have denied it and there's generations who've denied it, so it was really burdening this child. And I said, they came at night. I facilitated whatever I needed to facilitate. But my suspicion is this. And actually, my young son, because he's experienced the calling, Umtwana was not talking for about 3 hours. Couldn't talk, was lame, couldn't eat. And immediately, which is a concussion of medicine that helps align umuntu namahlo. They came next, and then they said, "Oh, we've been paying too much money at the specialist. Gogo, installment." How are we then expected to progress? Really, package these things if we are still also short exchanged by the people who are seeking our services. You find people inboxing you, inking azako, and expecting you to say, Guti, no, explain and do things. And even we get criticized on social media. I mean, there are people who there is a dubious side to the practice. But if you say to somebody, Guti, come, consultation is 350. Does it include treatment? How many times? Why is it that expensive? You go and consult for 500 rand and you get a prescription for medicine and you're still not well. You go back and pay another money and you don't come as a whole family, flu, checks you individually. But Ninanizani 10 on that amount, so we need to also be real about some of those issues. No, but now traditional healing people have made it about business. Men you're telling me, what? The car that has to go your tatumuti. No man because there's no lots of medicine like Ecoli. There's too many more to get to the source. The time invested, and Abantaba understand which Emandulo things there was an element of transaction. It wasn't all about transaction, but there was an element. Once you are well, you're going to come and bring a cow. But as nas buyer, so I can't be having chickens and goats and cows. Where am I going to host them at Cosmos City?
Let me readily apologize to our listeners who may not necessarily understand the language used, but there's certain things we cannot explain in English. There's certain things. There's certain things that cannot be explained in English. That's why I readily apologize to our listeners who are feeling a little lost in the conversation.
But they're welcome to ask us what we mean, and we'll make an attempt to.
We will try.
You will too.
Like you have, Amakobongo.
Yes.
I take my hat off to you. I would have never, in a million years, been able to explain what Amakobongo is.
Yeah,
We've got a caller on the line. We've lost that caller. We're going to try get them back. It is 8 minutes past 8. We're going to go to an ad break and we continue with our calls after this.